Hello, everybody, and welcome to our virtual open house about Wells College's Exploratory Program. We're so pleased to have you with us. My name is Gerard Turbide. I'm the Vice President for Enrollment Services at Wells. And Wells, to me, is a very, very special place. A nationally recognized college set in a peaceful little village right on the shore of Cayuga Lake, the longest of the Finger Lakes. I want to recognize right now the very difficult moment that we are in as a global community. It would be disingenuous if I didn't do that. We are all very troubled by the events that have taken place over the last week. And in fact, this weekend, our president, Dr. Jonathan Gibraltar, sent a letter to our community, to our alumni, to our students, to our faculty and staff, affirming Wells College's commitment to racial justice. So in this moment, I feel a lot of emotions, and mostly I feel hopeful for our future. And it is our community, our campus community, our alumni, our students, current and future, who are the basis of that hope for me. Wells College is here and exists to make the world a better place. So new students who are joining us for this event, please keep hope in your heart, be true to your ideals, and we will be here to help you nurture and give life to those ideals. Wells College's mission is simple, straightforward, and timeless. We prepare students to think critically, reason wisely, act humanely as they cultivate meaningful lives. Now, more than ever, organizations and people with that mission are essential. At Wells College, you'll receive unmatched personal attention. We have a 9-to-1 student-to-faculty ratio. At Wells, you can actually create your own major if you don't see within the group of majors that we offer the one that's right for you. And it's an amazing campus, and one where it seems to me that everyone is on a first-name basis. Small is powerful. We have only about 400 students at Wells, all undergraduate students. So we can do everything one student at a time. We can guarantee you'll have close and meaningful connections with faculty. We can assure you that you'll have access to our resources and programs, and we will hear your voice. In and out of the classroom, we care about every one of our students and every one of our alumni. When you join Wells College, the Wells family, your experience is not just about being a member of your class or your incoming cohort of students. You're welcomed by every student, and you'll be part of a broader network of Wells College alumni who span the globe, yet still consider Wells to be their home. A nationally ranked college with a curriculum that goes way beyond the liberal arts, blending real-world experience. Every student at Wells pursues internships of one type or another, and you can even do your first internship in your first year at the end of your first semester. We have innovative programs in business and the health sciences that offer interdisciplinary, career-oriented experiences that prepare our students to succeed. And if you're not quite sure what you want to do, we'll help you figure it out. In fact, that's what our new exploratory program is designed to do. And we're a community with over 150 years of history and traditions. We have a real living honor code that our new students sign their names to when they join our campus in the fall. And Wells students and alumni seek to bring the principles of our honor code out into the world. Ask any Wells College student or graduate whether they are odd or even, and you'll quickly see how our history and traditions bind and connect us across generations. You're soon going to make, if you haven't already, one of the most important decisions of your life. This is an investment, not a purchase, and a Wells College education is a tremendous value. A nationally recognized private college combining the liberal arts with real-world experience, a breathtaking campus environment, a small, inclusive, and surprisingly diverse community. And Wells College's net cost is among the lowest of institutions like us. But I come back to our mission. That's the most important reason to choose a college, if the institution's mission is right for you, and we invite you to join us in fulfilling that mission. So this format is a bit different than what we would have planned. We would have loved to have had you on campus, and we hope in the near future we'll be able to welcome everybody to campus for visits and tours and everything that we love to do in terms of working with prospective students and families. And today we're going to have a meaningful conversation about a Wells College education and your bright future, and in particular focus on our new exploratory program for students who have yet to decide about a major. And that's what I love about the exploratory program. Whether or not it's right, people put a lot of pressure on the idea of major. What's your major? It's kind of one of the first questions you might be asked as a student. And yet we feel at Wells that if you haven't decided that yet, that doesn't mean you're coming to the table with anything less than anybody else. In fact, it means you're making a conscious decision to leave your options open. And so we look forward to working with you in exploring those options. So we've assembled a panel of campus community members. And at this point, I'm going to give them the opportunity to introduce themselves. And from there, we'll move into our discussion. So first on the list, Jackie Allen. And Jackie, if you would talk about who you are, your connection to the institution, and maybe share a bit about why Wells is special to you.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Jackie. I'm from Syracuse, New York, and I'm a 2020 graduate. At Wells, I majored in sociology and anthropology and psychology, and I was able to minor in women and gender studies. You know, Wells was really a special place. It is a special place, and I feel as though through close relationships, especially with faculty that you can't find everywhere, I was able to really, you know, grow, discover what I'm passionate about, work on it, and just being surrounded by people who also just want to strive to be better people. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Thank you, Jackie. Robin Jacobs.
Hi, everyone. I'm also class of 2020. I majored in criminal justice and sociology and anthropology. I also worked with admissions as a tour guide, and I was a grind at the, I was a barista at the Grind, which is our on-campus cafe. And why Wells is unique. I was able to like find my voice there as well. So like I grew, like Jackie said. Anyone who knew me in high school can say I was the shyest person in the entire world, but being at Wells, it's a small school. So like in all of my classes, I had to actually like participate and answer questions. And I got to have close relationships with my professors. Admittedly, coming in as a freshman, I was like petrified to talk to like professors. I'm like, oh my God, they're so scary. They know so much. But at Wells, they really worked with me and guided me and helped me. And it's just a home. And that's it.
Thank you, Robin. Professor Leah Elliott.
Hi, everyone. I'm an assistant professor of biology here at Wells. I tend to teach classes in genetics, microbiology, cellular biology. I like all the really small stuff, mostly. When I was first learning about Wells, I thought probably the most unique thing about it was being right on one of the Finger Lakes, right? We literally have a boathouse. Amazing to me. My college had nothing like that. But then I actually learned a bit more about Wells, and I think my favorite part of it currently so far, I'm sure there's still more to learn, is some of the really unique disciplines and programs that Wells offers. And for me, the one that was most revolutionary was the Book Arts Center. I've been in college for a very long time, and I had never heard of book arts before I got to Wells. So learning about that field of study and actually getting in, and I took a class over the summer in paper making. It might be more holes than paper, but it was a good start. Right? It's given me something new and fun to do in the summers and some work. And I hope you'll find that same sort of excitement and discovering of new things when you come here to Wells.
Thank you, Leah. Linda Galbato. You may be muted, Linda. Sorry.
Let's
There
try
you are.
again. Hello, I'm
Thank you.
Linda Galvado, Director of Academic and Career Advising. I'm very glad you're here. My office is the space where I work with students to help them connect interests to careers and academic majors. There's many special things I could say about Wells, along with being a peaceful sanctuary where it's just a pleasure to work every single day. The opportunity to work with faculty and staff seamlessly to help students on their journeys is just a very special aspect of the work that I do. That's it.
Thank you, Linda. And our provost, Dr. Cindy Speaker.
Hi, I'm Cindy Speaker. I'm the Provost and Dean of the College at Wells. I've been at Wells as Provost since 2011. Prior to that, I joined the college in 2006 as the Associate Dean of the college. So Wells has been a place that I've spent the longest period of my professional life, which is hard to believe. Time flies. And I think when I think about what makes Wells unique, or what makes faculty and students and staff attracted to Wells as a college, and it really does go back to the mission that Gerard talked about earlier in his remarks, right? That our mission is to educate our students, to think critically, to reason wisely, to act humanely as they cultivate meaningful lives. We're here for our students to help them become the best that they can be, to find out who they are as people, to help them discover their passions if they don't know them as of yet, to help them reach their potentials, to launch them into the world post-Wells, where Wells will always be their home and a support network, but to really launch them into their futures, and we hope into the world, to make the world a better place. So everybody on campus is very dedicated to that mission and to our students, and to helping them as much as possible in any way that's possible. Wells, philosophically, as an educational institution, is committed to the liberal arts and sciences, committed to helping students understand the world from many different perspectives, to being broadly educated, to developing very critical thinking skills, problem-solving skills, developing compassion and empathy, learning to live in an ethical way, right? Being part of a community, learning how to live in community with others. And so we really want students to develop holistically. We want them, yes, to develop academically and intellectually, but we also want them to develop socially, interpersonally, really come to know their values and the type of the world that they want to see, and then help them do all their part in making the world a better place. And so we really encourage students to explore. Now, while this is about the exploratory program, for students who aren't quite sure maybe what they want to fully devote their studies to, we're here to help them figure out their interests, and whether or not that's deciding on a major or two, as our students here, our graduates here today, both found double majors that they explored, or is it to develop your own major? And we have the option of an individualized major here at the campus, where students can combine various different aspects of different disciplines and really pursue their own interests. So I think Wells is a really special place. As Gerard said, we're a community of 400 students, a little under 200 staff and faculty. We get to know everybody, and that's a really positive thing, I think.
Thank you, Cindy. So as we think about the exploratory program, I mean, there really, and Leah, I actually would go to your comment about the book arts, which is this, I think of it as this ancient, kind of discipline that, or that rather a discipline that ties us to the ancient and connects us to the future, and exists here on the Wells campus. And another tradition that's both ancient and very alive is advising. That's kind of at the center of all of this. And, as our new students are coming in, they've had one kind of experience in terms of what academic advising looks like at the secondary school level. But what is special about advising at Wells College? And we have, I know, a number, anyone on the panel here, and several of you may want to take a crack at kind of addressing that, but that's really central to the exploratory program. So really interested in people's thoughts on advising at Wells. Linda, maybe we want to start with you.
I would be happy to start. So I would consider advising at Wells. First of all, we really offer a tiered model of advising. All students will have a faculty advisor, and if they have more than one major, then they'll have more than one faculty advisor. But in addition to that, the staff of my office, open door policy, so anytime a student has a question, anything to do with their major concerns, interests, wanting to explore new opportunities, then they would find someone in my office always available for that work. But then beyond that, just because you have a particular faculty advisor, it does not mean that other faculty members are not available to provide advice. And that is a very Wells experience, is for students to develop relationships with their faculty, strong mentoring relationships, so that I do think any specific student ends up really with a large number of advisors by the time they exit Wells.
So that leads to kind of maybe an interesting question for either Jackie or Robin. If you want to talk about who were influential advisors for you, and how did that play out in your journeys as you figured out which two majors to pursue at Wells?
Like Linda was saying, I think that a lot of times at Wells, because we're so small and you're able to really be involved in the community and, with people outside your major, I was able to have that experience. Like she was saying, one of my biggest mentors was a business professor, Kevin Miles, and I worked with him on the management team, and he's still, I meet with him still, and he helps me with finding jobs and thinking about different career choices moving forward, and he's done that my whole career. Linda as well helped me a ton with finding internships and just sorting through my mind and everything I was interested in. And I have a lot of interests and it's overwhelming sometimes, and Linda really helped me channel that and explore that all. And same with Professor Renfro, Professor Olson, who I was fortunate to go on the Hawaii trip, have several conversations with him in the morning having coffee in Hawaii. He really helped me too, as well as Professor McCluskey, who's been my advisor, and Sarah Markowitz, who's been my advisor for psych. Clearly there's so many people, but yeah, just being able to go into anyone's office, especially Professor McCluskey, I often was in her office just talking about everything. And so long-winded, but that just shows so many people, so many mentors that have helped me during my time, and I'm very thankful. So that's me.
Similar to Jackie, I had some of the same mentors. My first advisor was Professor Kapari. She was the old criminal justice professor, but then once she left Wells, Professor Renfro became my new criminal justice advisor, but I'd also taken a bunch of his social classes, and he would recommend classes for me to take that he thought I would be interested in of his. So that's kind of how I started picking up a lot of social classes under my belt. And then I was like, oh, I'll just declare a minor. And then my sophomore year, I took one of McCluskey's classes, her topics classes. I think it was Anthropology of Violence. Loved that class. But that was how I first started getting into Anth. And I was like, oh, I'll just take a bunch of Anth classes. I love all these classes. And then I'll minor in this after I was already minoring in psych and soc. And then I asked McCluskey one day, I was actually it was my junior year spring, so kind of the last minute you can declare a major. You guys are wondering how late you can declare a major, it's then. You can declare a major your junior spring. I asked her, I was like, hey, so I'm only missing one class and a thesis. I was like, you think it's worth it doing the thesis to get the major, or should I just stick with 3 minors? She's like, no, you can do it. So she kind of like pushed me there, and that's how she became my SoChanth advisor, which I only had her for like 2 semesters as an advisor, but she still helped me along my whole career. So that's my advising journey.
So I'm putting myself in the maybe in the mindset of a graduating high school senior who's preparing to come to Wells and is maybe thinking about what do I want to major in, and listening to 2 graduating or recently graduated Wells College alumni talking about how they pursued 2 minors and 4 minors, 6 majors, however many academic programs. And it seems like a lot. And part of the question is maybe staying on track given that. And I don't know if anyone wants to speak to kind of what's available, what resources, what counseling, and maybe what advice for students in terms of thinking about keeping on track in their academic progress. Linda.
Yeah, so, there's an important deadline, which is a first major needs to be declared by 60 credits, which is roughly the end of your 2nd year. Other than that, I really like to view the time prior to that as an opportunity to explore. Many students start college with an idea of what they would like to major in, and they have a career interest, and some of them stay the course and live happily ever after. Others come on board, and then they are met with all of these courses and disciplines that they've never even heard of before, all these fresh opportunities. And so to have some time to explore, so whether you're coming in already with an idea of what you might like or really no idea at all, the plan's the same. Take a look around, get involved, take some classes, meet with some professionals that can help you understand what your interests are, what your career interests are, and what the most logical path would be for you to take to connect your interest to your career goals. And it turns out there's often many paths. There isn't just one predictable major that will get you from point A to point B. And it would really be unfortunate if a student didn't have the opportunity to explore and understand what all of those paths are. So, to take that first year, those first 3 semesters, and learn more about yourself, learn more about the world and what options are out there for you, and then to learn what Wells has to offer to help you connect what you're all about to what those ultimate goals might be.
And Gerard, if I could just add to that, one of the important things that I think is one of our strengths and has been for a very long time, we do have an emphasis at the college on experiential learning and require experiential learning activities for students as part of our general education program. But it's not just a requirement, and it's not just something that's done within the major at the upper level. I mean, we really believe that you need to experience things to know whether or not it's a right fit for you, right? In terms of certain coursework, but also in terms of different workplaces. So we really encourage students to do an internship, whether it's job shadowing or just a 40-hour 1-credit opportunity in the intercession of their first year between fall and spring semesters. Because that can really help you learn what you like and what you don't like. And it's important definitely to know what your interests are and what your passions are, but it's just as important to know that a certain type of work environment would just not be what you would look forward to on a day-to-day basis. And better to find that out when you're a first-year student than when you're a senior, right? And so some of those opportunities can really help sort of shape you and sort of direct the path that you're on. That can be really beneficial.
Thank you, Cindy. Jackie, I know that internships were meaningful for you and your experience at Wells. And I wonder if you could talk a little bit about how you found those internships, identified which ones to pursue, and how that all came together for you.
Yeah, definitely. So I would say there was 3 internships, or one was an experiential learning that really helped me throughout my time. So the first one I started was with the Grind management team. And so the Grind is a student-run cafe at Wells College, and completely student-run business. So the management team is made up of 4 to 6 students, and Professor Kevin Miles started this as a way for students to get real life business and management practice. And so I was working at the Grind, and I just, I was interested, and a position was open. And so I got involved as the human resources manager, but really we're all general managers. And so for a year I was working and able, to work on this team and really, develop some skills. And oftentimes, whatever major you have, you often end up, working careers that you didn't necessarily think you would. And a lot of people who don't have an undergrad in business might go on to work in business. So the management team is made up of people from all majors. And so even though I don't, plan to necessarily pursue a management position, oftentimes you're put in roles where management and leadership and all those like organizational skills I gained are going to help me. And so I stayed on to volunteer as a manager for another 1.5 years. So for 2.5 years, I was involved in the management team, and it was really a great experience. And I really developed a lot of skills and learned how to lead better and use my voice more. And so that was, a really positive experience. And my next, experience was the experiential learning in Hawaii. And so it's it's an anthropology trip, and you take the ANT 250, which is Hawaii, learning about colonialism and tourism and the culture itself and its history. And so you take the class, and then you can go on the trip. And so it was 3 weeks long, and we went to Hawaii in that winter intersession. And so that was really awesome because I had never been anywhere that far. And it was just, Hawaii's really a different culture from a lot of, from the mainland. And it was extremely, eye-opening, and just a beautiful culture built on resistance and fighting, and, their history is so rich. And so it really opened me up to, a greater love for anthropology too, and to know that I can go anywhere and I can do that. And also probably the biggest one for me was the summer of my junior year. I had, talked to Linda, and was before that spring semester in my junior year, I was very interested in exploring research in the future, and really interested in, maybe getting my PhD and, working in academia and exploring, these research interests that I had. But it's like, it was a little scary to me. I'm like, I don't really know what this would look like. And so I was fortunate to talk with her a lot, and I applied for an REU program, and it's a research experiences for undergraduates is what it stands for. And they're throughout the nation, a handful of them every summer. And it was a 6-week program. It was at Syracuse University, and I was fortunate to get in out of 140 applicants, and I was not expecting to be chosen at all. And so I remember going to Linda's office, and I had just gotten in like a car accident the week before, super emotional, and me and Linda were both like crying. Like, it was just awesome, and exemplifies how close these relationships are. And so in this program of 6 weeks at SU, and faculty from various institutions, we were studying trauma and PTSD among veterans. And so there were veterans in the program, undergrads that had already served and were exploring their research interests in psychology. And so this served as my psychology internship, and it was amazing. We took classes, did our own research, conducted our own projects based on what we were interested regarding trauma, and then we're involved in the planning and organizational stuff of a group research project regarding veterans and their exposure to certain toxicants related to cardiovascular disease and PTSD and trauma. And so it was awesome, and I learned so much, worked with people from all over the country, and again, just expanded my horizons. And I, now have more interest in research. And I knew that was either going to be like, oh, that's too much, or no, that's really awesome, I want to keep exploring that. And so that's where I, was able to do that, and that was really awesome. And so there are opportunities to take advantage of. Sometimes people are just afraid to apply, I think. and don't know like how to go about it. And I applied for this and I did not think I would get it, and I did. And that's why you can never underestimate yourself. You got to apply for things that you think you might not be qualified for, because you never know. And so yeah, I really was very well supported at Wells, though, to be able to have the confidence to do those things. And so again, that was long-winded, but I wanted everyone to hear the, you know, the totality of finding it and all that. So I was happy to share that. Thank you.
If that was long-winded, it's certainly justifiably so. There is so much packed into all the things that you just said. Research that has meaning and makes a difference in the lives of people. You know, I heard in there kind of really sage advice for students, and thinking about, you know, that's the, you know, never doubt oneself. And I think you just provided people a really valuable kind of shortcut to get the self-defeatist attitude out of the way and move forward, because you just don't know what opportunities will be available to you. That's outstanding. Thank you. What else?
If I can jump off of Jackie's research comments, which REs are amazing. We always encourage our students in the natural sciences to apply, to try them out, but we also offer research opportunities and experiences on campus. I had last summer 2 students working with me. We paid for them to stay on campus doing real research with me, helping my research program, and one of them had just finished her first year at Wells. So there's no need to wait until you're a more senior student to jump in on those opportunities, nor do you have to be cut out by a major. A lot of the students I advise, comes time to, that 60 credit mark is coming up and they need to put something down on paper. They get very nervous because they're afraid they're going to be cut out of experiences they want to have. And at Wells, you are never going to be denied what you want to do. I know there's, at least every year I've been at Wells, a science major on that Hawaii trip, right? Going there. So it's not only for anthropology majors. It's not only for this, that student. Any student can have work in our beautiful string room gallery, right? As part of shows. You're not cut out or limited by what you can do at Wells, which I really appreciate, because I definitely, I kind of actually feel a little like underprepared sitting here with Robin and Jackie and all your majors and minors. I had a major. I didn't have a concentration. I didn't have a minor. There were too many things I wanted to try when I was a student. And so I was just like, I guess I'll do what I have to, and then a little here, a little there, and just try it around. And I think Wells is also a great place for that.
Robin, you look like you're ready to say something.
I was about to unmute. Bouncing off the research thing, I got a lot of experience researching doing my senior theses, because when you double major, you have to do 2. But I kind of like bounced them off each other. So I got like, not in like the REU setting, but I kind of got like a chance to like pick and choose my own research interests and everything within my major, which was kind of cool, because you get to like pick what you're interested in and like build your whole research project and write about it. So I spent a lot of time on like certain topics and everything. But you have like all your classmates and advisors. You have like a professor in your thesis class and your peers, and it's a very supportive atmosphere to like do research, because like doing a paper that's like 30 to 40 pages long is a little intimidating when you first go into it, but we all got through it, which is great. But also in terms of like internships, no, Jackie had like some fantastic ones where she found out what she really wants to do, but I think I agree with Cindy that not all of them have to be what you want to do. I actually had a Wells alum help me find my last internship. I worked over the winter intersession before my senior year at the DA's office in Auburn. So I worked like 9 to 5 and I went in every day, which was super cool. I got to learn a lot, and I was fortunate enough to be there during a trial. So like every day during that trial, I would go in and go straight to the courthouse, and we'd just sit and watch the whole trial unfold, which I think was super awesome. On other days we didn't have the trial, we like went to the different kinds of courts where I was just like filing and shredding and stuff, like seeing how the office worked. So I got to experience a lot, and I talked to all the people in the office, and I got to learn a lot. However, I realized I don't want to be a lawyer, and that is a perfectly fine thing to figure out during an internship. I learned a lot. I still don't want to be a lawyer. So that's the decision. And it's okay to have internships like that. They don't all have to be like, oh my God, this is my calling. You need ones that go, oh no, never mind, no.
Yeah, I think, thank you for that so much. A lot of times I think I don't know if it's the word is romanticize, but we idealize the college experience and think, every step, everything has to be perfect and directly lead to the next thing for me. And there is tremendous value in exploring a path that ultimately doesn't fit for you. And I think I know our faculty and Provost would certainly say there's value to kind of safe or kind of structure for failure in some ways too, that we as human beings, we learn so much from our failures or from this cognitive dissonance of being surprised by something. And so I guess I'll throw that out there as a question in terms of what was surprising to you about your experience at Wells? What did you learn about yourself that you didn't know coming in?
Could I throw a comment out there related to this? So my view on internships is they're about opening doors. They're also about closing doors, which is, I think, exactly what you were saying and what Robin was saying. And I have had more than one student thank me for helping them find a particular internship. In all cases working with children, because it verified to them that they never wanted to work with children again. And in fact, one student shared that not only did she never want to work with children, she was certain she never wanted to have any. So to me, that's a really valuable internship experience if it really can impact your life that greatly. But also just circling back to the exploratory program and the concept of an early internship. So at the end of your very first semester, we call it J term, in between the end of your first semester, in between semesters, we call J term, between fall and spring. So that first J term is a really great time, I think, to do something either job shadowing or small project oriented. And my encouragement is always, what's your dream job? And then to pare that down to the small internship experience to give the student the opportunity to really see from the inside out what it's about. And I'm going to say I think it's about a 50-50. Either they're empowered by it and they want to continue, or they want to come back to the table and explore other opportunities. The value is equal though, whether you're opening a door, keeping a door open, or closing a door.
Yeah, thank you for that, Linda. I'm thinking about our audience and thinking, you can do an internship in your first year and really have a valuable experience from that. What else?
I would also like to offer that early experience isn't just about that J-term experience, but sometimes that first summer is a really good time. Maybe you feel safer returning to your own community to get that first internship experience, and maybe it's a safer space to do some networking. There's people that you already know in your community that you might feel comfortable observing the work that they do. And so my role is to help you navigate that. So maybe to teach you some networking skills, maybe help you find some contact information. And I don't want to neglect a really important part of our team, which are our alums. So Wells alumni, everybody I think has said it at least once so far today. They're really awesome. And they are so willing to invite you into their worlds. and to support you and to provide opportunities. And that's often what those early summer internships look like, is either pairing with folks from your own community or perhaps with some advice from some of our alumni in order to set up that experience. Actually, I was working with a student today that will be doing a summer experience with an alum who's a judge in Rochester area. And they managed to come up with a plan to do that experience remotely. And that just, it speaks to so many things, the tenacity of our students, as well as the willingness of our alumni to help and come up with this clever way to put together a learning experience during a really tricky time.
We have a question from our audience, and we've touched on some of this, but I think it's worth digging into a little bit more. The question is, when is the best time to pick a major if I come in as exploratory? And can I change easily after picking that major?
Shall I start? So the best time when you're ready, unless we hit 60 credits, and then we do have to pick a major. But really when you're ready, I don't know if within that time frame, if I could say that there's a best time. I think you know when you have found something that you want to continue. So it kind of looks like this from my perspective, is you come in taking classes that sound interesting, because really your first year, no matter what you take, it's going to count. If it doesn't count towards a major, maybe it will count towards a minor. Doesn't count towards a major or minor, maybe towards your gen ed requirements. And of course, there's always room for some free electives as well. So, I think with the focus being on exploring as opposed to satisfying requirements, it does start to reveal itself. And then, throw in some intensive work and, different types of workshops and things through my office, plus that early internship. I do think your major reveals itself. And I don't know, Robin, I think you're a good voice for, having a harder time. You're just committing to this one major, and what that has meant for you and your success might be an important story as well.
So I came in declared as a criminal justice major with a psych minor. And in my head, what I thought I was going to come in and do was that I was going to be, well, I didn't declare psych. I thought I was going to double major in criminal justice and psychology. And so I came in, and like freshman year, instead of taking a lot of gen eds, I took like major requirements only. I was like, I saw like the checklist. I was like, cool, I'll just take all of these and we'll be good. So I finished that major mostly my freshman year. I had like a couple classes here and there that I had to take. But for the most part, I like came in and like drilled it all out. And then I was like, you know what? I took like some psych classes, and I was like, I like it. It's just not my favorite, and I don't want to major in it. But I was like, I took too many classes, so I'll just get the minor. I was like, well, just keep it so I can take the classes I want, but I don't want to major and thesis in it. It's not my huge interest. So like I said, I kind of just went, oh, I got my criminal justice internship, but you have to take, not internship, major. And then I had to take a lot of social classes within that. And that's kind of how I figured out that I really liked soc. So like I said, I made that another minor. And then I found my anth minor. And then my professor was basically like, you're this close. So I declared it my junior spring, right before senior year started, which was kind of good because all of the criminal justice majors were also double majors. So none of us really wanted to do two theses in one semester. So we kind of were able to spread it out because all of us were doing that. But yeah, I agree with Linda. I kind of struggled to figure out what was going on. I was like, I'm just here. So I figured that I'm probably gearing more towards like the soc anth aspect of it, because I came in criminal justice, like hardcore, and I was like, actually, I like this better. But I'm glad for all of the experiences I've had, and I really have gotten to explore a lot. And I like the fact that at Wells, I didn't have to be stuck in one major. That even though I declared one when I came in, I was able to change my minors and stuff and like take back the psych major and just change a bunch of things. Be like, just kidding, I'm not minoring in these, I'll major in them. Because I've learned a lot and had a lot of cool experiences within those. Taken a lot of classes that I think have changed my view on life. That's it.
I think part of that question too was, the first part of that question, Gerard, was that about changing majors?
Yes,
Okay,
you know, yep.
yeah, and that's a real simple thing to do. It's a form. It's a form and a couple of signatures. And if you look at national statistics, it's most common for students to change their major. Again, some of you will come in knowing exactly what you want, and that's great. But I think that the majority of students are trying things that are familiar and then learning about things that are less familiar, and perhaps as a result of that, either adding second majors or changing their major. So it's a simple, easy, common thing to do.
So a lot of the comments right now are reminding me about this, this thing around major as the end all. And I think a lot of people think the major is the essential piece or directly related to career success later on in life. And we actually know that that's not exactly the case. And there's an organization in the field of career development. It's called NACE, the National Association for Career or of Career Educators, I think is what that stands for. And they have identified through work with employers a list of competencies and skills that employers are looking for most in recent college grads in terms of hiring new professionals. And they have to do with a variety of things that really have nothing to do with the major: being able to collaborate with others, being able to tie different disciplines together to solve complex problems, kind of things that sometimes we refer to as the softer skills of human interaction, and that those are, for many employers, equally and sometimes or often more important than, you know, that kind of specific content and knowledge that comes with a major. So that's what I've read and what I've believed in terms of, you know, that. Wondering, you know, Linda, your part of your role is career services and career development at Wells College, but other thoughts on kind of, it speaks to the heart of why a Wells College education, why an education at a four-year institution with a Bachelor of Arts degree or a Bachelor of Science degree is more than a lot of value added from this idea of, you know, piecemeal pursuing different competencies.
Sure. So I think there's a litmus test pertaining to what you first said about thinking you have to have a particular major in order to go into a particular career. And the litmus test is just stopping random people on the street, make sure you social distance, and ask them, what do you do for a living? And what did you major in college? And again, I think you're going to more often find there not to be this, what looks like a direct path. And it's because of those other skills that Gerard's talking about, those soft skills, and many of the things that the provost spoke about in her introduction about the things that are valued at Wells and that we instill in our students about critical thinking skills and certainly interpersonal skills. And these are the things, it's going to be those skills identified by NACE that employers are looking at. I mean, that's where their list came from, is by asking employers what's important to you. And employers aren't saying specific majors, but they're saying the skills that they're looking for. So that, to me, is the value of the liberal arts foundation. We have majors, we have tracks, we have paths, we have concentrations, but they're there to meet your interests. They're there so that you can have a meaningful education that has value to you as a person. In terms of, you know, launching you into the world of work, you know, it's not that you're going to graduate with a major in sociology and, oh darn, I have to go back to school because I should have had one in psychology instead. That won't happen. It's going to be those other things that you've picked up along the way, the skills you've developed, the knowledge you've gained more broadly, and then those softer skills that will be what are valued by employers.
And Gerard, if I can add on to this conversation, you know, the world of work is changing so quickly these days, right? There are careers today that didn't exist 10 years ago, that didn't exist surely when I was an undergraduate so many years ago. And you can only prepare somebody for that unknown by making sure that they can be lifelong learners, that they know how to learn for themselves. Because that way, no matter what the situation is, they have the skills and the intellect and the persistence to be able to figure things out, learn what you need to learn, and be able to do the job that's before you, right? And that's what you can do when you've been educated in a liberal arts tradition, right? An employer can train you within a field, right? But they don't have the time nor the ability to educate you, right? And there's a real difference between an education and a vocational training, right? We want our students, yes, to find their vocation, but we mean it in terms of their calling, right? Their passion. What's the way that they're going to make an impact in the world? What's the way that they're going to lead or follow? But how are they going to make a change for the better, right? That it's not just about them as individuals, but it's their responsibility to one another in the world. And so when you know how to think, when you know how to communicate, when you know how to collaborate, work in groups, when you can do that at a distance and do it successfully in terms of either virtually or asynchronously. And when you have the confidence that you can figure it out. You may not know it right away, but you can figure it out. And I think that's what we see in all of our graduates, right? They may not have known something at first, but they know that they can figure it out. And that's what employers want, right? They want smart people who can problem solve, who can get along with others, and who can get along with others who are different than they are. And I think as a residential campus, that's a highly diverse student body, our students have to learn how to not just live with people and be in classes with people who are different from them, but really be part of a community with people who are different than they are. And conflict management skills are probably the most in-demand skills employers are looking for. Right? Can you work with people who are different than you are? And not just be productive, but really have empathetic, real relationships with people, right? And value diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Thank you, Jess. And Leah.
Yeah, I just listening to Provost Speaker reminds me too that a lot of those skills, right, that NACE have identified and employers are looking for aren't just developed in the classroom, although I think I can speak for my colleagues that we all try to do that in the classroom as well and give those really marketable skills, whether hard or soft. But I see a lot of it outside of the classroom at Wells. I'm advisor to two of the clubs on campus, our Japanese Culture Club, which I picked up because I decided to study Japanese as my required foreign language in college, and then worked in Japan. Would have never predicted that when I was in high school. And now I can advise this club and also the gaming club. And I see students there who, when I first met them, their first year, they come sign up at the table to get on the email list and find out, and they're shy, they're nervous, they're not very confident. And by the time they graduate, they're leading these groups and they're handling big issues. And handling is tradition too. How do we do a club online when folks have scattered? And for the Japanese club, some of them to the other side of the world, right, to be involved in this and to keep touching. And that growth is amazing to me and really makes me very proud and happy when I see students come into their own that way.
Well put. We are coming toward the end of our time. So I'm wondering, want to give our panelists an opportunity, again, to think about our audience and whether these are, students who are coming in this coming fall to join our campus community, or future students who are yet to begin the college application process and are thinking through all the various decisions that they have in front of them. Insight, advice, or kind of final thoughts that you'd like to leave our audience with?
One of the things, because this is the exploratory program, I know going from high school to college, there's some people that are kind of like judgy about what major you're doing. Like everybody's asking, and some people are like, oh, like the natural sciences are better. Like, what are you doing studying like education or social? Like, is that a real major? Will you get a job? So along those lines, like my advice is to study what you want. And like we were saying, kind of like the skills that you build there will get you to what you want to do. Like I said, I studied a lot of social science, so I like to proudly say I'm a people person in a lot of different aspects. And I think that's a skill that I can take out into the real world. But just study whatever you want and don't let anybody try to convince you that you shouldn't study something because there's no jobs for it, or that there's like other majors are better, because I know that was like a big thing leaving high school. So just do that because it's fun.
Yeah, and to bounce off what Robin said, I totally agree. And I think that even throughout college, like same as Robin, I majored in, social science. And a lot of times, maybe people who don't necessarily know the ins and outs of a liberal arts and sciences education don't understand why you would study something that doesn't directly lead to a job. But we're coming into a different time where that's not necessarily what you need. And so although I would maybe hear, like Robin is saying, even throughout college and going into college, oh, you're undeclared, and then in college, oh, like, what are you going to do with that? What are you going to do with that? It doesn't always necessarily have to be like that, because what I'm going to do with that is have the critical thinking skills for the rest of my life to understand how to handle situations and how to be a good human, especially in times that we are living in right now. So at Wells, no matter what you major in, you're going to be able to develop those skills if you are open to developing them. And I would say, don't be scared by what people think you should do. People are always going to have opinions. It doesn't matter. It's about what you want to do and what feels right in your gut and your, in your spirit. And so, I just think, going on what Robin said, that. And I would also say, as a collegiate athlete, I played volleyball for 4 years. Don't pick a school just for your sport. So being recruited for volleyball was why I found Wells, how I found Wells, which I was very thankful for. But I have reflected and understand now that even if I hadn't played volleyball, I still would have enjoyed Wells. And that's very important, especially right now when you're seeing our sports going to be happening. So pay attention, to what kind of environment you want to be in, and put aside your sport and think, although this means so much to me, will I be happy here if, I couldn't play? And that's important. But just, not everything has to be linear. And I learned that. And so take that pressure away and understand that your path isn't necessarily going to be a straight line. Pretty much no one's is. So that's my summary.
Well said, Jackie. And Jackie mentioned, sort of studying what your gut tells you to study, or where you find your interests. And I would say, choosing a college to attend is not a science. You can make all the spreadsheets you want about all the different variables that are involved, but for most people, and I would say for most students at Wells, they knew that Wells was right for them when they came to campus. And, there was something about it when they were here for a visit. And for different people, it's different things. For some, it's that beautiful lake that's there. For others, it's the fact that when you walk across campus, people actually say hello to one another and often know one another's name. People hold doors for you. People seem friendly. You don't know who you're talking to, but you see that somebody will go up to somebody who seems like a stranger and ask them if they need help, right? That's the type of community we are. And for some people, right, you just know that it feels right for you.
And I just have to say that Wells is a great place for many different kinds of students, but for the student who's exploring, to have the reassurance that we're ready for you. We have programs in place. Personally, I celebrate the experience of having to discover or wanting to discover what might be next for you. It's really, I think, a lot of fun to witness students going through those steps and to assist them in that process. So, you know, the support is in place. The support is in place everywhere you look, faculty, staff, other students. So we're ready for you. We're ready to help you decide what your next steps might be.
I guess if I could summarize what everyone has already said, Wells is what you make of it, right? Whatever you bring to Wells is what you're going to get out of it. So keep your expectations high. We'll meet them. You know, don't be afraid to talk to people. Don't be afraid to say hi to folks you think maybe are professors. We'll all get to know each other eventually. Why not start during orientation? Come by my office, email me, and I'm sure the same goes to everyone on this panel. We're here, we're available, and yeah, I mean, I'd love to meet everyone in person, not just over video like this.
I want to thank our panelists very much for your participation. Again, you all in your comments and what you've had to say really remind me so much of everything that's so special about Wells College. We believe in our students, we believe in you, and we will be here to help you forward your dreams and your aspirations. So absolutely, let's continue the conversation. This is our contact information available to you, and any one of us or all of us will be happy to have an individual exchange with you about your interests and how we can help you craft your future at Wells College. So thank you for your time. Stay safe, stay well, stay connected.